On a dark evening, the main character named Victor reflects that when all this confusion with superpowers and superhumans began, the dark nooks and crannies of the neighborhoods became much more dangerous than before. Victor, having drunk a fair amount of alcohol, is pushed out of the establishment, and he is told that if he decides to drink again, he will have to get away, since this time he vomited right on the floor in front of the visitors. Not really paying attention to the bouncer's words, he picks up the bottle to drink another portion of alcohol from it, muttering something under his breath. He doesn't understand that the bottle is closed and displeasedly points his finger at it, demanding that he get a new one, when suddenly he hears a woman's screams. Cries for help cause him to shift his attention, and he decides to put off dealing with his bottle for a while. Turning his head, he notices that in the gateway, from which a woman's scream was heard, a small group of people can be seen. A girl named Anna is surrounded by hooligans who tell her that she is looking for adventure on her own, since she deliberately walks through such gateways. The girl tries to scream, but they tell her not to strain her voice, since no one will come to save her. After which they grab her by her clothes and hair and throw her to the ground. Several people begin to restrain Anna, who decide that it's time to stop fussing with her and get down to business, wringing her hands. The gang leader turns around and tells his accomplices, who are already arguing about whose turn will be first, that they suddenly have guests. Victor, having finally figured out that his bottle was closed, asks the hooligans what they are doing here. The leader replies that it's none of his business, adding that he should get away while he still can. After which his accomplices tell him that no one will notice the corpse of a drunk in the gateway. The gang leader understands that Victor is not going to give up and decides to calm him down with his fists, after which he swings at him, saying that today he will die. However, to his incredible surprise, the hardened drunk intercepts his blow, easily stopping him in his tracks. At the same moment he jumps into the air, preparing to strike with both legs in the air. Surprisingly, the leader does not have time to react, and Victor delivers a powerful kick to the face, sending him flying. The leader, flying forward, crashes into the face of his accomplice, losing consciousness from severe damage. Another bully turns towards Victor, shouting loudly that he just signed his own death warrant. However, before he can finish cursing the main character, a bottle of alcohol flies into his face. The bottle turns out to be surprisingly strong and remains intact, knocking down the bully, after which Victor catches it with his leg. Victor looks at the bottle for a while, trying to collect his thoughts in his drunken head, and then throws it into the air. He easily catches it, noting that he almost spilled the precious contents of this bottle, after which he looks up at the hooligans. The bully calls Victor a real bastard, telling his comrades that they need to get out of here as quickly as possible, since he is too tough for them yet, to which his comrade tries to offer another option, but he is immediately cut off by saying that now is not the time for this. The hooligans quickly raise their leader and disappear into the darkness of the night, finally telling Victor that they will definitely find him and get even with him. Meanwhile, Victor approaches Anna, asking her if everything is okay, after which he again checks that his bottle is securely closed. Anna thanks Victor, slowly turning around, however, as soon as she sees her savior. Her face distorts with fear. Victor, continuing to sway in place from a large amount of alcohol, asks the girl he saved what she forgot here. Anna says that all this time she was hiding from him, and deliberately took this road, after which she hysterically asks him if he had been watching her all this time, calling her a sick pervert. Victor asks her how she could know her, adding that they had never seen each other before, after which he mentally wonders how she could notice him in the crowd. Anna asks him why he decided that he was so good at hiding, stating that she saw him several times spying on her, after which she again hysterically says that if he does not leave now, she will call the police. After which she reflects that Victor is a pervert who has been following her for several days, annoyingly admitting that luck has turned against her again. Victor's face changes sharply, coldly telling Anna that she saw through him, which means responsibility for the consequences does not lie with him. Anna looks fearfully at the approaching Victor, asking him what he wants to do, and tearfully asking him not to come near her. Victor ignores Anna's pleas and approaches her, delivering a quick blow to the pressure point with his fist. From the blow she received, Anna immediately falls silent and loses consciousness, while Victor carefully watches her, checking whether she really passed out. Meanwhile, the hooligans, running away as fast as they can, talk among themselves, coming to the conclusion that Victor is definitely a Superman, since otherwise he would not be able to deal with them so easily. One of the hooligans annoyingly states that the three of them also have superpowers, which means they might as well not run away, but show this drunkard that they are not worth messing with. Another hooligan fearfully asks him if he saw how easily Victor knocked him to the ground, adding that he is able to withstand the blow of a car, but he almost died from being hit by a bottle, which means Victor is probably a hunter. He tells his comrades that usually superhumans try to hide their powers so as not to become a target of hunters for superpowers, after which he declares that even if Victor is not a hunter, he is definitely capable of fighting on equal terms with real hunters, which means that with such strength it's better not to butt heads and run away. Meanwhile, Victor, who has chased the hooligans across the rooftops, arrogantly says that they must be careful. Hearing Victor's voice, the hooligans freeze in place, shackled by primal fear. Victor tells the bullies that wanted criminals need to be much more careful and not get involved in troubles like this. The leader of the bullies glares at the main character, calling him an annoying little bastard. Victor finally opens his bottle, drinking greedily from it, after which he tells the thugs that the whole city already knows about them, since they rob and kill the townspeople too, like mad wild animals. Victor jumps to the ground, telling them that he is a level 4 hunter, which means their fate is already sealed, after which he invites them to surrender on good terms, adding that in this case, he will show them mercy. One of the hooligans fearfully says that Victor is still a hunter of superhumans, to which the thug tells him that there is only one Victor here, which means they could grab him and finish him off, taking advantage of their numerical advantage. Drake sets his hand on fire, asking the bullies what kind of shabby clothes they wear, suggesting that they spent all the stolen money on dark crystals from the black market, adding that he is sincerely glad that people can buy artifacts and gain superpowers. However, when superpowers fall into the hands of such scum, the world becomes an increasingly terrible place. The goon tells Victor that a hunter who speaks so much pompous speeches sounds like a complete idiot, noting that hunters who kill many more people for dark crystals than they can condemn them. With these words, the thug transforms, covering his body with metal, and tells Victor that if he wants to take their powers, then he should have said so directly. He completes his transformation into a metal monster, telling Victor that his superpowers are not cheap black market items, as thanks to them, not even a missile can penetrate him, let alone Victor's pathetic little blue light. Victor calmly looks at the giant metal brute and tells him to attack first. The brute annoyedly orders Victor to shut up and finally die, after which he delivers a heavy blow with his metal fist. However, Victor, shrouding his hand in blue flame, delivers a powerful blow to the brute's body, disintegrating a huge part of his body in a matter of seconds. The brute howls in pain as he is consumed by blue flames as his accomplices watch in horror. Without turning to look at his opponent, Victor tells him that he is a great joker for showing such a fantastic level of self-confidence. He adds that its scorching radiance cannot be compared with some kind of rocket. With these words, he turns to the remaining thugs and tells them that now it is their turn to pay the bills. The thugs look at Victor in horror, with great difficulty overcoming the crippling fear that prevents them from immediately running away. Victor takes a few more steps towards them and they begin to run away, asking him for mercy. However, Victor remains deaf to their pleas and overtakes them, again setting his hand on fire with a blue flame. After a few seconds, all that remains of the entire group of thugs is a pile of charred, smoldering bones. Victor approaches the remains and, after a short search, finds the surviving fragments of dark crystals. He carefully counts their number, realizing that he has a total of 17 shards, irritably noting that he needs to get 3 more shards this month. After a while, Anna comes to her senses, slowly opening her eyes. She thinks about how incredibly dizzy she feels, and then looks around, admitting to herself that she has no idea where she is right now. With her eyes fully open, she notices that there is a metal cuff attached to her left hand. She sits on the sofa and notices Victor, mentally assuming that he brought her here to rape her, then kill her and get rid of her remains. Suddenly, a terrible thought pops up in her head, that he could have already used her body while she was sleeping, and she decides to check it out. He tries to quietly examine himself without attracting too much attention to himself. Having made sure that everything is in order with her body, she exhales with relief, somewhat weakening her vigilance. Victor, noticing that Anna has woken up, approaches her from behind and asks her if everything is okay, causing her to scream loudly and in fear. Anna falls on the sofa, inviting Victor to negotiate, adding that if he needs money, then she will gladly pay him, as long as he does not rape her. Victor tells Anna that she shouldn't bother, adding that if she gets hurt in the process, he won't be held responsible for it. Anna lies down on the sofa, telling Victor that she will obey him, begging him not to hurt her. Victor silently approaches Anna and puts a special collar on her neck, which quickly snaps into place with a dull metallic sound. Hearing the click of the collar, Anna wonders what Victor decided to do with her. She turns to Victor, saying that this is not what she thought, to which the main character replies that this is necessary so that she does not run away. Anna feels her body again, and decides to touch the collar to understand what Victor has snapped on her neck. Victor notices Anna's actions too late, and only manages to shout to her not to touch him. However, Anna does not have time to react to his words, and her body is pierced by a strong electric shock. Victor decides to drink alcohol again and tells Anna that if she runs away from this apartment, she will die from the electric shock, adding that she should not try to remove it, since anyone who touches it, except Victor, will receive a strong electric shock. Anna, hysterical, asks Victor what he is going to do to her and why he kidnapped her. She calls Victor a freak, a creature, a drunk and a pervert, to which he only irritably orders her to shut up. However, this does not work, and Anna pours unprecedented streams of obscene language at Victor, causing him to completely lose patience. He turns to Anna and in a menacing voice orders her to shut up, otherwise she will run into trouble. He states that if Anna were not a girl, he would have killed her long ago, after which he orders her to shut up and sit in silence. Anna decides to just scream louder that they are going to kill her, but Victor just as irritably tells her that she can scream as much as she can, since this room is soundproof. Anna stops screaming and begins to cry quietly, begging her parents to come here and rescue her from captivity. Victor also decides to moderate his ardor, seeing a defenseless-looking girl in front of him. He tells Anna that she should not pretend to be an inept simpleton, since an ordinary person would never notice if Victor was following him. After which he adds that if Anna is not a hunter, then she has definitely been attacked by hunters for superpower, since only those who were targeted will always be vigilant. Anna continues to cry, wondering why Victor began to think that she was a superhuman. Anna asks Victor if he has evidence of her superpowers, which will sound more convincing, adding that if she had powers, she would have already taken him to jail, and he would not have been able to grab her. To which Victor, confused, he says that she can hide her powers, adding that he will let her go after she has stayed here for 15 days. Anna is surprised by Victor's words, asking him if he is lying to her, to which Victor replies that he does not need Anna in the apartment, and he keeps her here only for reasons of his own safety. Anna asks Victor why she has to sit here for 15 whole days, asking him if it would be possible to let her go home early, to which the main character replies that it's none of her business, adding that she should go to bed. Anna says that all these fairy tales about the huntress are just an excuse for such an old pervert like Victor to keep such a beauty in his basement. Victor irritably replies that she should not be rude to him and should go to bed, to which she tells him that she urgently needs to go to the restroom. Victor looks at Anna in disbelief, assessing the possibilities in his head that she is deceiving him. Without thinking twice, Victor decides to trust Anna, saying that she is still wearing a collar, so she will not be able to escape, even if she really wants to. After pressing the button, the handcuff on Anna's hand snaps off, and she gains relative freedom of movement. After a while, she goes into the restroom and thinks about what life situation she finds herself in. She looks at the mirror located in the restroom and wonders why the hell it is hanging in such a strange place. Anna mentally wonders where Victor put her bag with her phone, after which she comes to the conclusion that she needs to come up with an escape plan. However, after some time, Anna realizes that Victor is a rather handsome guy, noting that if not for all these oddities, she would even consider the possibility of a relationship with him. Suddenly, her strange thoughts fade away, and she realizes what she was just thinking about. Anna tries to clear her thoughts, shaking her head from side to side, noting that despite his appearance, Victor is a sick man who kidnaps people. After a while, she comes up with a brilliant plan, which is to call the police as soon as Victor falls asleep. After some time, night falls on the city, and it is illuminated by the lights of buildings and lanterns. Anna goes to bed, and Victor decides to retire to his room in order to improve his body. As soon as Victor closes the door, Anna opens her eyes and decides to look around. Victor places a special device on the toilet, shaped like a cylindrical blender. He presses a button and the device activates, revealing a hole located in its center. Victor examines the device and sets his hand on fire in order to interact with it. Having gathered his strength, Victor decides that he cannot hesitate and quickly lowers his hand into the device. As soon as he completes this procedure, the device comes into action again and makes the eerie sounds of an accelerating saw. After a second, the window of the device closes, completely cutting off the protagonist's hand. Victor quickly pulls his hand away, from which clouds of thick steam begin to emanate. Anna, who decided to investigate the situation, spies on this process, surprised by what she just saw. Victor, feeling someone else's gaze on him, quickly turns around, looking at Anna. Frightened, Anna immediately runs away, but Victor easily understands that she was watching him. He stares intently at the slightly open door, wondering why Anna could be watching him. Deciding not to hesitate for a second, Victor leaves the restroom, looking intently at Anna. Anna looks at Victor in fear, asking him what happened to his hand. Victor doesn't answer her, slowly approaching her, showing off his arm cut off at the elbow. Anna cannot stand the stress, and her eyes begin to darken with horror. She silently falls to the floor and freezes, completely losing consciousness. Victor looks in confusion at Anna's unconscious body lying right in front of him on the cold floor. After some time, morning comes and Victor's house is flooded with the sun, which is at its zenith. Anna comes to her senses and wonders why she faints so often in the most critical situations. Suddenly she looks around, greatly surprised by the change in situation. He realizes with horror that morning has already come, and she has lost consciousness for several hours. Turning her head to the coffee table, she discovers that Victor has prepared her breakfast by frying eggs and bacon. She takes a closer look at the note stuck to the glass of hot milk, and notices that it asks her to be quiet and not do anything stupid until he arrives. She studies the note and realizes that Victor went somewhere for a while. She realizes that this is a great chance, and decides to try to explore the apartment again in order to come up with an escape plan. Meanwhile, Victor climbs onto the roof of a huge building and takes out his phone to check his messages. He looks at his correspondence with the stranger and thinks that he is very late and is in no hurry to meet him. However, suddenly the door to the roof of the building behind him opens and a mysterious stranger appears before Victor. He wishes Victor good morning, sincerely declaring that he is incredibly happy about their first meeting. Victor asks the stranger why he was so late, to which he asks for forgiveness, explaining his absence due to heavy traffic jams on the road. Victor throws a bag of black crystals to the stranger, saying that this is all he managed to get this month. The stranger with a slight smile makes a deft movement of his hand, catching a bag of crystals. He takes them out and notes that this time he managed to obtain very rare Omega-level dark crystals that enhance the body. The stranger says that Victor did a great job and hands him the suitcase, saying that he deserves the reward. The stranger notes that Victor really is a peculiar guy, because he only accepts payment in cash, to which the main character tells him that it's none of his business. With these words, Victor approaches the edge of the building and jumps down with a confident look. The stranger stares at Victor, then takes out his phone to dial a familiar number. The stranger's interlocutor picks up the phone, and he greets her, calling her Mrs. Morgana. He reveals that he placed a tracking beacon in Victor's case, as per her request. Mrs. Morgana, who is a tall, stately girl, tells the stranger that he has done an excellent job, adding that the money will soon be transferred to his account. As she talks, a strange man with a collar around his neck paints her legs, looking like demonic claws. Morgana tells the stranger that she will triple the reward if he personally deals with Victor, to which he chuckles and replies that he does not take on a job that he is not capable of completing. The stranger says that he would like to give advice to Morgana, noting that she should not underestimate this boy, even though she has the strength to cope with him, to which she replies that her further concerns do not concern him. Meanwhile, Morgana's slave makes a careless move, carelessly applying varnish to her fingers. Morgana immediately notices this and glares at the guy with a spiteful and angry look. She kicks him in the head, calling him a cretin who is incapable of anything even remotely serious. Morgana gets up from the couch, ordering her slave to contact the Sandman and tell him to track Victor through the tracker, adding that he must not kill him until she arrives. She is lost in thought, admitting to herself that she is very glad that she has finally found him. With these words, she leaves her room, opening the huge doors of her palace. She approaches a capsule filled with a special solution that supports life. She addresses the remains of the man, saying that very soon he will be able to return to this world. She touches the glass of the capsule, saying that all she has to do is take from Victor what belongs only to her chosen one, and then the whole world will bow to them. With these words, she remembers the man whose hair is surrounded by flames, and angrily declares that she will personally tear this bastard into 1,000 pieces. Victor decides to take a short break by buying himself a can of beer. Anna, meanwhile, can't think of anything better than simply breaking the windows of Victor's apartment with a chair. She irritably asks why this glass is so strong, noting that despite multiple blows, not a single crack was left on it. She lies down on the floor, powerlessly complaining that the door was closed and her phone was also missing, after which she declares that now she understands why beauties suffer the most bitter fate. After a while, her stomach begins to growl treacherously, and Anna admits to herself that she really wants to eat, after which she casts an interested glance at the breakfast prepared by Victor. After some thought, Anna decides that in order to continue trying to escape, she will have to have a snack. Anna finishes her snack, noting that the food tastes very good. Meanwhile, a killer named Sandman is keeping an eye on Victor, noting that his victim has a pretty nice house. He thinks that he should hurry up to get inside before Victor in order to ambush him. With these words, he makes a quick movement, flying over Victor at the speed of the wind. Victor turns around at the suspicious sound, but does not find anyone next to him. He is still wary, suspiciously examining his house and the trees adjacent to it. Anna, who has just finished her meal, is lounging on the sofa, admitting to herself that she is full, and now she doesn't want anything else. Meanwhile, the door to Victor's apartment opens, creaking quietly and attracting Anna's attention. Anna looks at the door slowly opening, but no one enters the apartment. Anna looks at the door in surprise, not understanding why the door suddenly froze in place. Taking a closer look, she notices that a mysterious stranger appears from behind the door, who touches the door with his fingers. Victor, who decided to play it safe just in case, goes up to his apartment through the balcony. He goes to the window to thoroughly inspect the apartment for a break-in or ambush. He glances into the apartment, and what he sees greatly shocks him. Victor sees that Anna's legs strangely stick out from the large TV attached to the wall. He gets in the way for a moment, and notices that Anna's legs continue to be pulled into the TV, as if it were some kind of swamp. Victor angrily realizes that Anna has been leading him by the nose all this time, and actually has serious superpowers. With these words, he breaks through the window with a powerful blow, bursting into his apartment. He runs over to his TV, touching the set-top box next to him. Trying to understand how Anna's abilities work, he tears the TV off the wall, checking the space behind it. He realizes that completely paranormal things are starting to happen, and freezes in place in surprise. Victor looks at the empty space behind the TV and wonders where she could have gone. He glances at the TV and remembers that the TV was turned off at the moment she disappeared, which means she is unlikely to have been able to move somewhere through the electrical cables. Based on the current circumstances, Victor understands that Anna could not leave the house and is somewhere here. He takes a good swing and hits the wall, hoping to make Anna appear in front of him. The force of the impact breaks through the wall, after which a column of blue flame penetrates the hole. The flames aggressively spread forward, punching another hole in the house and onto the street. Victor enters the room, nervously looking around in search of Anna. He turns back, realizing that if the collar is still on her, then leaving this apartment would definitely electrocute her. However, after this, he thinks about whether Anna was a Superman. She would have already escaped, or would have taken advantage of the moment while he was sleeping and killed him. Victor wonders where Anna could have gone, while a small stinger appears behind him. The sting begins to emerge more and more from the wall, imperceptibly approaching Victor. Having come within striking distance, the sting lunges forward, piercing Victor through and through. Victor feels unbearable pain and coughs up blood, not understanding what the hell just happened. The sting begins to increase in size and lifts Victor higher and higher above the ground. It presses him to the ceiling, continuing to cause him unbearable pain. Victor clenches his teeth forcefully, trying to overcome the pain and figure out a way to get out of this situation. The sting begins to drive the main character along the ceiling, trying to cut his back in half. After some time of futile attempts, Victor throws the sting into the wall, leaving a large dent in it. From the force of the blow, Victor loses the ability to breathe normally for a second, emitting a muffled cough. However, he quickly recovers and manages to land on his feet. After that, he puts his hand to his wound, cauterizing it with his super strength. Thick steam begins to emanate from the wound on the main character's body, and it quickly heals without leaving a scratch on his body. A dull voice emerges from the sting, noting in surprise that the rumors were not false, and Victor really can be reborn in flames. Victor is surprised that he heard a man's voice and turns back, trying to figure out who it could be. Sandman says that unfortunately his white flames will not harm him in any way, and forms a stone fist to strike. Victor easily dodges a powerful blow that shatters the wall into splinters. Taking advantage of the small window of opportunity, Victor strikes quickly, cutting the stone arm in two. However, the stone stump says that Victor's efforts are ridiculous and useless, since due to his ability, he will not be able to harm him in any way, and he will only cause a pogrom in his own apartment. Victor is surprised that the killer can control the objects around him and asks him where he took Anna. The Sandman asks Victor why he needed that stupid girl, suggesting that she is his beloved. Victor watches as the sandstone begins to transform, frozen in place in surprise. Sandstone shows the captive Anna and tells him that it is now his toy, adding that after his death, he will have a lot of fun with her. He says that as soon as he begins to possess Victor's power and combines it with his own, then he will no longer care about all his enemies, and he will be spared the need to listen to his stupid boss. Victor extends his hand forward, interrupting the Sandman's reasoning, and says that he has something to tell him. Victor begins with superhero pathos to declare that there are two things that he must know, noting that firstly, he will never be able to kill him, and he will let this girl go. We will tell him who sent him, and then he will kneel down and apologize. Then he spares him, after which he declares that if he refuses, he will kill him in 1 minute. Sandstone looks at Victor with a look full of misunderstanding, and tries to understand why Victor said all these pretentious words. After this, he laughs sincerely, suggesting that Victor is completely out of his mind, and tells him that he is not in a position to command. At that same second, the floor beneath Victor opens up and huge stone jaws begin to close beneath him. Victor does not have time to react, and the jaws collapse, locking him in their deadly prison. After a while, he concentrates his strength and tries to unclench the stone jaws. Meanwhile, the sandstone lunges towards Victor, telling him to learn to take responsibility for his words, and strikes again with his stone hand. The powerful blow splits the stone jaws and throws Victor far back. Due to the incredible force of the blow, Victor breaks through the wall of the house with his body and falls onto the sofa. Victor briefly loses consciousness, remaining sitting on the sofa absolutely motionless. After a few seconds, he opens his eyes and realizes that it is time to use serious means to fight the sandpiper. He extends one arm, attempting to summon his hand-switching device. He activates the sensor on his glove, and a dull metallic sound is heard in the house. A second later, a huge metal cylinder breaks through the glass door of the room and flies towards Victor. Victor continues to hold his arm extended in the air, and a metal device is attached to it. Bizarre manipulations begin to occur inside the device related to the replacement of Victor's hand. After a few seconds, the device makes a characteristic click, replacing Victor's hand from fiery to electric. Victor detaches the device from his hand, activating his electrical powers. Meanwhile, the Sandman goes into the room where Victor is, telling Anna that now they will watch her boyfriend die. Noticing that Victor is not at all unconscious, and that his body again has no heavy skills, the Sandman freezes in place, perplexed. Victor touches his hair, turning it into some kind of electric flame. The Sandman looks at Victor in surprise and wonders where all this electricity came from. Anna also notices that Victor has changed and looks at his new image with fascination. Victor looks at them from under his bangs, saying that he will never get used to these things, adding that every second his body seems to go numb. With these words, he asks the Sandman how the idea of beating such a handsome man could have come into his head. Victor acquired an ability called electricity, which allows him to instantly create an electric field with a blast radius of 5 meters and a wide range of damage, as well as instantly strengthen his body, increasing his speed and combat power, and granting the ability to control and intercept radio signals. This trait has good speed, damage, and accuracy, but the range leaves much to be desired. At that same second, Victor's body begins to waver, and he disappears right before the Sandman's eyes. He appears behind the Sandkiller and arrogantly asks him where he is staring. The Sandman turns around in bewilderment, realizing that he has been fooled again. He delivers a crushing blow with his stone fist, tearing a huge chunk off the wall. Switching the Sandman's attention, Victor frees Anna from her stone prison with lightning speed. Under the influence of inertia, Anna loses her glasses, which only miraculously do not have time to break on the floor. Victor makes a quick movement, catching Anna's glasses in the air and covering hers with his body. He silently hands Anna her glasses, continuing to look threateningly at the Sandman. Anna looks at Victor hesitantly, blushing with embarrassment. The Sandman loses his composure and angrily asks the main character how dare he underestimate him. With these words, he again rushes to attack, but Victor meets him with rays of pure electricity. The Sandman's body disintegrates from contact with energy rays, but this does not affect his combat effectiveness. He shouts to Victor that all his efforts are in vain, and he will not harm him even if he smashes his entire house into pieces. The Sandman crawls out of the ceiling and tells Victor that as long as his main body is intact, victory will be on his side, after which he invites him to surrender in an amicable way so that he would spare him. Victor looks around, trying to figure out a way to defeat his annoying enemy. Having come up with a cunning plan, Victor begins to deliver powerful blows to the floor, breaking it. The Sandman looks at the main character in surprise, wondering why Victor liked to destroy the floor. He notices Victor pulling power cables out of a hole in the floor, and wonders why they are underground. Victor turns to the Sandman, saying that within the walls of this apartment and underground, there is a grid of electrical cables just in case of superhumans like him. The Sandman guesses Victor's plan and looks at him in fascination, wondering how he fell into this trap. With these words, Victor grabs Anna and the metal device, after which he flies out of his house at great speed. Facing his home, he charges the cables with a powerful burst of electricity. Victor decides that this level of power will be enough, and sends it through cables to his house. Victor's entire house becomes electrified, shocking everyone inside with strong shocks. The Sandman, who did not have time to get out of there, receives incredible damage, losing all his strength from this attack. Having received sufficient damage, the Sandpiper is thrown out of Victor's house due to the force of the electrical explosion. He falls to the ground, making several flips under the influence of inertia. With the last of his strength, the Sandman tries to get up, wondering how Victor learned to control electricity, if before that his superpower was fire. He looks at his hand and thinks that he needs to quickly hide underground, noting that his whole body is numb. Victor approaches the exhausted Sandman, telling him that he warned him that this would take no more than a minute. The Sandman looks at Victor and with a frightened look asks him to come to an agreement. Victor deals the finishing blow to the Sandman, asking him why he decided that he would succeed. The Sandpiper slams his face into the ground and lets out a loud cry. Victor holds the Sandpiper in place and kills him by consuming his body. Anna looks at the main character in fear, asking him if he killed his opponent. Victor replies that he gave him a chance, but he chose not to take up his offer. He turns to Anna, showing her the dark crystals and saying that the Sandman's superpowers now belong to him. With these words, he puts his hand into the metal device, again initiating a change of hands. A second later, the device begins to move and completely cuts off Victor's hand. Anna looks at Victor in surprise, thinking that his hair has returned to normal. Meanwhile, the main character touches his hand, trying to relieve the unbearable pain. After a while, Victor's hand begins to hurt less, and clouds of bluish smoke continue to emanate from it. Soon, Victor's hand regenerates and becomes normal, except for the blue mark on his hand. After this, Victor sits down to take a breath and put his thoughts in order. He touches the ground, noting that it takes about 2 seconds to merge with the object. With that, he applies a little force, sliding his fingers into the concrete as easily as if it were butter. A second later, a few meters from Victor, a huge stone pillar bursts out of the ground. Anna watches what is happening in fear, not believing what she saw. Victor turns to her with satisfaction, saying that he really likes this newfound ability. Anna says that his ability is truly amazing, asking him if he now wants to remove her collar and set her free. Victor tells her that the security system of that apartment was destroyed, which means this collar no longer works, after which Anna easily removes it. Victor says that when the Sandman attacked her, he noticed that she didn't lift a finger to escape, which means she's probably a very ordinary person. Anna looks at Victor questioningly, not fully understanding why he spoke about this so harshly. However, having understood what he was leading to, she joyfully asks him if she can then go home. Without waiting for an answer, she turns around and begins to slowly walk away, mentally begging fate not to turn away from her this time. Meanwhile, Victor glances after Anna and notices her bare feet. For a moment, a memory of his younger sister pops into his head, telling him that she loves him very much. After thinking a little, he commands Anna to stop and not move. Anna hesitantly says that they have already decided everything here, after which she fearfully asks him why he needs her now. Victor asks Anna why she decided that he allowed her to leave, after which he orders her to follow him. He approaches the garage and lifts the heavy metal gate with a slight movement. He tells Anna that this place has been discovered, which means they can no longer stay here, after which he orders her to get into the car. Anna is surprised that Victor has such an expensive car, mentally wondering where he could have earned so much money. After absorbing the Sandman's powers, Victor gained a power called fusion, which allows the wearer to merge with solid objects, gaining complete control over them within a radius of 10 meters, and gaining the ability to change the appearance and structure of a solid object. This ability has average damage, range, and accuracy, but the speed indicators leave much to be desired. Anna continues to look at Victor's car, wondering if he can give her a ride home, and asks him about the reasons for his incredible wealth. Victor doesn't answer her, saying that when he took her out of the house, her shoes got lost, and then touches a metal object. He plucks off a piece from it, after which he shapes it into shoes for his companion. He hands her the shoes, asking her to put them on, adding that they will find her more comfortable shoes later. Anna examines the shoes that Victor holds in his hand and notes that they shine like crystal. She thanks him for the gift, silently noting that they look very beautiful. Anna presses her shoes to herself, realizing that she is beginning to develop sympathy for the main character. Having tried them on, she happily tells Victor that these shoes are just the right size for her. She lightly taps Victor on the shoulder, telling him that his ability is very cool. Realizing the romance of the moment, she falls silent, and Victor asks her if everything is okay. Anna tells Victor her name, after which she embarrassedly asks what his name is. Victor is embarrassed for a moment, hesitating to introduce himself. However, he does not have time to tell his companion his name, as suddenly the wall behind her collapses, and they are attacked by armored fighters. Victor does not have time to react to the ambush, and looks at Anna with a stunned look. Anna turns back and notices that the fighter is swinging a powerful blow with a razor-sharp knife. Victor rushes forward, covering Anna with himself and getting stabbed in his hand. With his free hand, he pushes Anna back into the car to at least somehow protect her. Immediately after this, he delivers several blows to the armored fighter, trying to knock him out. Victor continues to throw punches, mentally noting that his opponent seems to be made of steel, after which he wonders why he is so strong. His opponent gives him a disdainful look, making it clear that he did not receive any damage from Victor's blows. He decides that it's time to counterattack, and delivers one crushing blow to the protagonist's face. The blow has a very serious effect on Victor, and he spits out blood from his broken lip and nose. Anna watches the battle between Victor and his opponents, screaming in fear. Victor loses strength from missed blows, trying to figure out how he can counterattack. With the last of his strength, he begins to concentrate his power in his hand, emitting a desperate cry. He ignites his wounded hand, showering his opponent with a wave of blue flames. This does not have the desired effect, and Victor runs out of steam, looking at his opponents with hatred. He notices that several more armored opponents are coming to the garage, bringing with them a strange device. They approach Victor, and I inject him in the neck with a strange substance. Victor instantly becomes worse, and he realizes that he was injected with a superpower suppressor. The armored soldier delivers a powerful blow to Victor in the gut, trying to incapacitate him. From a strong blow, Victor's mouth starts bleeding again, and he begins to cough painfully. The soldier pushes the knife deeper into Victor's hand, causing him excruciating suffering. He then places his foot on Victor's back, forcing him to fall to his knees. Having fixed Victor in place, the soldier freezes, awaiting orders from the mysterious commander. Anna covers her mouth with her hands in fear, hearing the approaching sounds of women's heels. Morgana approaches Victor, asking him if he could have imagined such a day would ever come. She takes a good look at him, and then says that she has been waiting for this day for too long. Anna examines Morgana and the metal soldiers, wondering who this woman and her minions could be. Morgana leans towards Victor, saying that now he won't even be able to light cigarettes with his flame. She tells Victor that they poisoned him with a superpower inhibitor, and for half an hour he will not be able to use them. Having enjoyed the sight of Victor, Morgana gloatingly declares that she is not going to kill him yet, adding that now she will give him such a hard time until his suffering satisfies him. Victor looks questioningly at Morgana and asks her who she even is. Morgana, who did not expect such an answer, falls into a stupor for a moment, slowly filling with anger. Anna looks at Morgana and wonders how it is that Victor doesn't know the woman who came to kill him. After a short pause, Morgana begins to laugh maniacally at Victor's words. Morgana tells Victor that bastards like him never remember the names of their victims, adding that an extremely terrible fate awaits him. She loses her temper, angrily asking if he remembers how he got the ability to regenerate. These words have an impact on Victor, and he falls into a stupor, plunging into memories. He remembers a white-haired man whom he struck with flames in the past, destroying his body. Morgana looks at Victor with a murderous gaze, asking him if his words bring back memories. Victor says that he remembers seeing Morgana next to that guy, adding that he doesn't remember his name. Morgana says that she is glad that Victor remembered everything, adding that she can now kill him, enjoying revenge, after which she will destroy all his loved ones. She glances at Anna, and she greets her nervously, mentally thinking that they shouldn't touch her since she isn't particularly close to Victor. She asks her if they have any problems with Victor, adding that he is very rich, so it would be better for them to just take money from him and not kill each other. Morgana looks at Anna with eyes full of bewilderment. She starts chuckling again as she slowly approaches Anna. She says that Anna's proposal is absurd nonsense and raises her sharp tail to deliver a fatal blow. Victor looks at what is happening and decides to save her again by touching the ground. The ground beneath Anna's car begins to move and lifts her up, protecting her from Morgana's blow. The villainess looks at what is happening in shock, wondering how Victor got the Sandman's power. The makeshift stone cliff begins to move, evacuating the car with Anna in it. Upon reaching the hill, the rock tilts, causing the car to roll down. Grabbing the steering wheel of the car, Anna begins to scream in fear, trying to steer. Morgana looks in surprise at the huge hole left after Anna's evacuation. She looks at Victor, wondering how he uses the Sandman's powers while being poisoned by a superpower inhibitor. Suddenly she notices how Victor used his superpower and she understands everything. She looks at his hand and muses that he removed his hand by merging it with the dark sandstone crystal, so the inhibitor would only disable his own flame and electricity control abilities. She calls Victor a pathetic parasite, adding that now she will finish him off. However, Victor notices the compressed air tanks and uses the Sandman's strength to get to her. He uses a stone sting to pierce the tank and distract the enemy. The cylinders explode loudly and the entire room is covered in thick smoke, helping Victor disappear from view. He inserts his hand into the device, once again giving himself electrical powers. The soldier holding Victor captive notices with surprise that his captive easily escapes his grip. Morgana looks around and notices that Victor is running away. She turns in his direction, deciding that this time she will definitely not let him escape. She strikes quickly and accurately with her sharp tail, hearing the sound of cutting flesh. She notices that her tail is covered in Victor's thick blood. She licks him, saying that Victor is in vain to think that he can escape, keeping so many superpowers in himself, adding that even if she fails to kill him, he certainly will not be able to hide from the Corporation of Light. Meanwhile, Victor runs away from his pursuers at lightning speed. He feels that the fresh wound on his shoulder is beginning to cause him more and more severe pain with every meter he walks. He overtakes Anna's car and tries to land in the second seat. Seizing the moment, he makes a final push, getting as close as possible to the car rushing at full speed. Victor manages to land in the passenger seat of the supercar and briefly catches his breath, scaring Anna. He understands that the car moves this way only due to the force of inertia and touches the gearbox with his hand. The car roars, and Anna is surprised to see that the engine has finally started. He turns to face Anna, telling her to pay more attention to the road. Anna turns her gaze to the road and notices that they are rushing at full speed towards a passing truck. Meanwhile, Morgana activates her power called Black Gold, which allows her to cover her body with stripes of black gold, which is a one-of-a-kind metal that is not listed on the periodic table and is stronger than diamonds. However, even if Morgana is wounded in the area where there is no black gold, then this place immediately heals. This superpower has outstanding speed, damage, and form, but suffers from poor attack accuracy and range. She manages to taxi out, avoiding a fatal collision, and hears the truck driver asking her if she wants to die with such driving skills. Victor stands on the car, ordering Anna not to let go of the gas pedal and drive forward as quickly as possible. He looks at the quickly moving silhouettes between the trees and realizes that they cannot escape from them by car. Morgana, surrounded by her henchmen, quickly pursues the main characters, wanting revenge. Morgana casts a death glare at Victor as he examines his arm, realizing that he is running out of electricity. He realizes that there is still a searing radiance hand and a fusion arm in the box, remembering that he needs at least 2 seconds to merge, and he will not be able to use it on anything other than a car. But the searing radiance will not be able to cause harm at such a distance. After some thought, Victor realizes that the best option would be to distract the enemy and escape at the speed of electricity. He takes out his hand of searing radiance and decides to use it as a distraction. He swings it properly, roughly calculating the force of the explosion. Taking proper aim, he throws his hand towards his pursuers. He extends his electric hand forward, concentrating for the final shock. A second later, he fires an electrical projectile, hitting his fiery hand directly. The hand immediately detonates and explodes into a huge pillar of blue flame. Morgana looks at the blue flames, covering her face from the burns, and quickly realizes that it was all a distraction. Taking advantage of the short pause, Victor grabs Anna, saying that they urgently need to leave. Leaving the car to its fate, Victor turns into an electrical discharge, evacuating Anna along with him. Morgana easily guesses the direction of Victor's escape, shouting that he must be crazy if he decided that he could escape from her in this way. She jumps through the pillar of fire, landing on the hard asphalt. After that, she approaches the broken fence, inspecting the scene. Turning her head to the side, she notices a car lying in the trees with smoke coming from it. Lost in her thoughts, she does not notice how a huge truck stops right in front of her. The driver asks Morgana why the hell she is standing in the middle of the road, asking her if she is tired of living. The passenger of the truck notes that Morgana looks very beautiful, and invites her to climb into their seat to have some fun. Morgana doesn't appreciate the compliment and makes a monstrous swipe at the truck with her tail. She is angrily perplexed by the fact that Victor received a dose of an ability inhibitor and still managed to escape, adding that he will soon go to the next world anyway. Meanwhile, Victor continues to run away from his pursuers, deciding to stop next to a road bridge. He loses his strength, clearing his throat again and sitting down on the cold concrete. He looks at his hand and thinks that his electricity has run out and his body is on edge. He tries to get up, leaning on the wall, and Anna tells him that he is seriously injured and they should go to the hospital. Victor doesn't answer her, mentally telling himself that he needs to hold out until the inhibitor wears off. However, his strength fails him, and he falls to the ground, smearing blood on the concrete wall. After catching his breath a little, he takes a photograph out of his pocket. He looks at the photo of his sister and strokes it with trembling hands, asking her to wait for her salvation. Anna looks at Victor's actions, asking him if this girl is his sister. Victor tells Anna that she needs to leave here, asking for forgiveness for dragging her into this nightmare. Anna examines her face and then decides that she will not leave him. She lifts him in her arms, offendedly demanding that he get to his feet. She adds that if everything he said before is true, then his little sister is in the hands of very bad people, so he must save her in any way, which means he must survive. Anna adds that she has never met such fools as Victor, adding that if there was at least one person close to her in her life, she would die of happiness. Victor rises to his feet thanks to Anna's help and says that he will definitely save her. He motions for Anna to stop helping him and tries to stand up on his own. He regains some of his strength by telling his traveling companion that he has something important to tell her. He exhales deeply and tells Anna that they will definitely survive today. Anna looks at him with some question, after which she agrees, saying that it is time for them to move on. However, at that very second, Morgana overtakes them, collapsing a concrete bridge on them. The main characters raise their heads and manage to notice huge boulders falling on them. At the last moment, Anna manages to run up to Victor, laying her hands on him. She pushes him out from under the collapse, in the hope that this will help him escape. She looks at Victor and wonders what she is doing, and why she is saving a man she met a couple of days ago. A bridge collapses on Anna, along with Morgana, and Victor looks at her with a look distraught with grief. Morgana tells Victor that he can consider himself lucky, because the girl gave her life to save him. Victor stands silently, still trying to comprehend what just happened to his companion. At the same second, opponents attack him from all sides, trying to prevent him from coming to his senses. Victor does not react to anything, and the soldiers stab him with knives from all sides. They lift him off the ground, continuing to tear at his body with razor-sharp blades. Victor is not worried about anything except Anna, and notices a hand sticking out from under the stones. He remembers the words he said to her moments before her death, and flies into a murderous rage. Victor overcomes the superpower blocker and explodes in waves of blue flame. After a few seconds, only charred skeletons remain of all his opponents. Morgana looks fascinated at the pillar of fire and electricity in the place where Victor was just standing. She angrily wonders how he was able to overcome the effects of the superpower inhibitor. Meanwhile, Victor, consumed by rage, transforms, burning some of his clothes and looking at his opponents with a look full of hatred. The metal soldiers decide that the time has come to act and shoot additional projectiles with a superpower blocker at Victor. However, this action does not go unnoticed, and Victor, using his electrical abilities, stops them in the air. At that very second, he explodes them, throwing all efforts to neutralize his abilities down the drain. Morgana watches what is happening, realizing that he neutralized the inhibitors using heat. Victor turns to the soldiers, deciding that it is time to end this battle. They begin to run towards him, but he points his fingers at them and calls upon them streams of energy. In a split second, streams of electric flame fall on the soldiers, instantly disintegrating them. Morgana looks at Victor, who immediately disappears from her field of vision thanks to lightning speed. At the same moment, he appears right in front of her, looking at her menacingly. Morgana is surprised how Victor managed to strengthen his right arm to such an extent. In horror, she jumps back from Victor, finding herself at a safer distance. Victor decides to take advantage of the short respite, and quickly clears away the rubble, hoping that everything is okay with Anna. Having sorted the stones, Victor sees that Anna's body was severely mutilated by the stones. Victor looks at Anna's broken limbs and the broken shoes he made for her, and decides that he must save her at all costs. He plunges his hand into his chest to find some dark crystals. He reaches to his heart, finding the necessary crystal and clinging to it with his claws. He removes the dark crystal from his chest and places it in Anna's mouth, helping her swallow it. He looks at Anna's face and says his name, expressing the hope that she will recover. He adds that he will definitely keep his promise and will not let her die. With these words, he rises above the pile of stones and casts a decisive look at Morgana. She looks at him and angrily says that now he understands what it's like to lose loved ones, adding that she will keep her word and kill all his loved ones. However, Victor doesn't pay attention to her words and tells her that he will kill her first. Victor's newfound ability is called Burning Demon, which increases his speed, strength, and endurance, and also increases the effectiveness of the Scorching Radiance and all his other superpowers. This ability has outstanding performance in all respects except duration, since it consumes a lot of spiritual energy. Victor rushes to attack, summoning several pillars of electricity near Morgana. Having performed a diversionary maneuver, he instantly teleports behind Morgana and prepares to deliver a powerful blow. Morgana does not have time to react, and Victor successfully carries out a strong attack, throwing her into the air. Morgana does a backflip, mentally amazed that Victor was able to raise his level to 5. Victor immediately rushes to attack, and Morgana meets him with an attack with her sharp tail. Victor and Morgana begin throwing lightning strikes at each other, attempting to cause serious damage to each other. At a certain moment, Victor grabs Morgana's tail and throws her into the air with all his might. He slams her into the concrete, creating a huge crater due to the force of the impact. Without allowing her to recover, he throws her into a nearby building with a flourish. He immediately rushes after her in order to finish her off right away. However, Morgana is not stunned after such a series of blows and lands on her feet, noticing that Victor is flying towards her. She manages to dodge by making a quick jump to the side, and Victor destroys half of the building with the help of his unprecedented power. He realizes that he missed and immediately rushes at Morgana, trying to strike her again. Due to their speed and the power of their blows, it is impossible to see anything except powerful explosions. Meanwhile, Anna, lying unconscious, begins to slowly recover and come to her senses. She wonders where she is and where she ended up, feeling something begin to burn in her chest. She concentrates on this feeling and tries to come into harmony with her own thoughts and feelings. Under the influence of the dark crystal, Anna gains superpower associated with water, and her hair turns blue. Meanwhile, Morgana and Victor stop briefly, trying to catch their breath. Victor pulls his hand back and sets it on fire, preparing for another attack. Morgana manages to shield herself from Victor's attack, and he sends a wave of burning flame towards her. The flames cover Morgana, and she feels an incredible heat pierce her body. Victor decides to take advantage of the moment and rains down several lightning bolts on Morgana, threatening to kill her on the spot. However, the smoke clears, and Victor notices that his opponent's skin is turning into hot metal. Morgana says that after awakening his secret powers, Victor became very strong, adding that he is not the only one who can hide an ace up his sleeve. Victor waits until the smoke clears and is surprised by what he sees. Morgana completely covers her body in metal, saying that she wouldn't have come for his soul if she wasn't ready. She runs a sharp claw along her helmet, saying that in her current state she is a level 6 superhuman. With these words, she rushes into the attack, having fully restored her strength. Victor does not have time to block her attacks, and she delivers a powerful blow with her claws, leaving behind deep cuts on Victor's chest. The main character notes in surprise that Morgana's speed has increased many times and tries to repel the hail of her attacks. Becoming even more furious, he realizes that he himself needs to fight with even greater force. He begins to run around Morgana, forming a ring of deadly fire mixed with electricity. Morgana's secret superpower is called Super Slav, and grants her increased strength and endurance, as well as increased durability and damage. This form also has the highest rates in all parameters except range and duration due to the high consumption of spiritual power. Choosing the right moment, Victor unleashes several dozen quick blows on Morgana. Morgana tries to shield herself from them, receiving minor damage. Victor decides not to stop and continues to strike her with increasing speed. This does not bring significant results, and he continues to run around Morgana, trying to figure out what to do in this situation. Meanwhile, Morgana calculates the trajectory of Victor's movements and delivers a bloodthirsty blow with both hands, causing extensive bleeding in the protagonist. Due to his injuries, Victor loses the ability to move quickly and falls to the ground. He is surprised that Morgana managed to catch him even though he was running at such speed. Morgana decides not to give Victor a single chance and pierces his body with her hand. She pushes off the wall and goes flying with Victor. After some time, he manages to put his feet on the ground and break. Morgana says that even if Victor has the ability to regenerate, his own blood may not be enough. With these words, she swings for a blow and wonders if he can restore his brain, torn to shreds. However, she suddenly stops, noticing that energy begins to appear around them. Water vortexes begin to surround Victor and Morgana, briefly distracting them both. Victor raises his head up and freezes in place from strong surprise. Anna, having transformed into her true superform, approaches the fighting heroes, looming over them. Morgana notices that Anna is the source of the water whirlpools, and is surprised that all the moisture in the air suddenly began to concentrate in one place. Anna, still unconscious, covers herself with water. Morgana angrily accuses Victor of daring to feed Anna the dark crystal, adding that she is now also a superhuman. Victor tells her that if you eat an Omega-level dark crystal, there is a 50% chance of gaining superpowers. He asks Morgana what will happen to hot metal if it is put into water. Without waiting for an answer, he concentrates all his strength in his chest and shoots a stream of flame at Morgana again. Morgana tries to shield herself from the hot stream, while Anna begins to collect a large amount of water above Morgana. A second later, Victor jumps out and takes Anna with him, leaving Morgana under a thick layer of water. Morgana, being red-hot, shouts to Victor that she will tear him into 1,000 pieces. However, as soon as she removes her hand from her eyes, she notices that tons of water are falling on her. She lets out a loud scream and finds herself buried under the water. At the same time, Victor lands not far from this place, glancing at where Morgana had just stood. The water recedes, and a frozen metal statue of Morgana appears before Victor. Meanwhile, night falls in the city, and the townspeople open their umbrellas to shelter from the rain. A girl in a raincoat stands next to a girl who is typing something on an electronic lock. The girl comes up to call the child to follow her, but hears her name and turns around. She sees Victor, who calls the girl by the name Emma, and asks them for help. She looks at Victor in surprise and asks him what happened. After a while, they enter her apartment and she puts on tea, surprised that Victor dared to give Anna a dark crystal. thereby awakening her superpowers. She is also interested in whether he is sure that he killed Morgana, to which he replies that judging by her abilities, she will remain alive, adding that he does not particularly care about her, since he will still have time to deal with her. Emma says that Victor shouldn't worry, since Anna just got her powers and isn't quite used to it yet. She adds that he shouldn't go back to his old place and can live here, adding that most likely no one will be able to find him here. Victor says that if they found it once, then this place will also be revealed soon, adding that he does not want to bother them. Emma quietly tells Victor that he doesn't have to worry about it, since he will never bother her. She adds that if it weren't for him, Susie would also be dead and their quiet life would be out of the question. Susie looks at the teddy bear carefully, concentrating her spiritual energy in her hands. At the same second, the teddy bear begins to rapidly decrease in size. Observing Susie, Victor notes that her abilities have become much stronger, to which Emma replies that things at home become big and small. But whenever Victor comes home, she feels happy. Victor takes a sip of tea and tells Emma that in 2 weeks, if he does not die, he will no longer be in the city. Emma is surprised to hear Victor's words, understanding what he means. Victor says that in 14 days that very moment will come, adding that this is the best moment to save his sister. Emma doesn't find what to answer, and decides to just remain silent, looking thoughtfully at Victor. Meanwhile, the rain intensifies and develops into a merciless downpour. The statue of Morgana, under the influence of time and rain, begins to slowly move. After a few seconds, the metal shell begins to crack and crack. Morgana concentrates her strength and completely destroys her armor, which threatened to become her grave. She falls to the ground and says that she will definitely find Victor and take brutal revenge. Many years ago, a strange meteorite fell to Earth, forever changing a huge number of people. At that time, a team of researchers discovered a black meteorite at the South Pole. To study the foreign object, a team of researchers rescued the meteorite from the ice, and during the study, they discovered that a large black stone was releasing energy into the atmosphere that changed the team, thanks to which each of the 9 participants received unusual abilities, becoming the world's first superhumans. The world government took possession of the black meteorite, and 9 researchers disappeared without a trace. But many years later they reappeared and created an international organization called the Light Corporation. The influence of the corporation was very great, and the governments of all countries had to cooperate with them, and together they began to study the power hidden in the depths of the black meteorite. A few years later, based on these studies, the Light Corporation created black crystals that allowed an ordinary person to acquire superpowers with a 20% chance. After absorbing an alpha crystal, it is absorbed into a person's blood and concentrated in his heart, forming an omega crystal, and superhumans who received powers from alpha crystals, when absorbing omega crystals, become even stronger. However, omega crystals have side effects, which consist in the fact that with a 50% probability, a Superman who absorbs it turns into an uncontrollable monster. The price of omega crystals is so high that people will do anything to get one, and those hungry for wealth and power go to the most extreme measures, and because of this, organizations of superpower hunters have appeared. Superhumans appear every day, but regular police cannot cope with the violations associated with superpowers, so the world government has created a new department to control superhumans. Meanwhile, the morning sun falls on the city, and Anna continues to regain her strength while in a state of deep sleep. She comes to her senses and rises up in bed with a frightened cry. She looks around and wonders where she ended up. Looking at her hands, she is surprised that she is wearing pajamas and not her clothes. She begins to rub her head, losing herself in her last memories. She remembers that she saved Victor, after which a pile of concrete blocks fell on her. Anna wonders what happened after that and why she is still alive. Suddenly she notices a new detail in her appearance and is greatly surprised. She takes a strand of her hair in her hand and asks herself why it suddenly turned blue. Frightened, she lets out a scream, attracting Emma's attention. The girl immediately enters Anna's room and asks her what happened to her and if she is okay. Anna looks at Emma blankly, seeing her for the first time in front of her. She gets into a fighting stance and asks her about who she is and what she needs. Emma says that Anna need not fear for her life, since she is safe, and asks her if she wants to eat. Anna shyly falls silent, carefully examining Emma, and decides that she can be trusted. A few minutes later, Emma accompanies Anna to the kitchen and asks her to sit down at the table. She points out her daughter to Anna, introducing her by the name Susie, and adding that she doesn't really like to talk. Anna tells Emma that she understands everything, reflecting that she now knows that these 2 girls are mother and daughter. She turns to Emma and asks her about how she got here and where the guy who was with her went. Emma says that apparently we are talking about Victor, adding that he went out on business in the morning, and she ended up here with him. Anna remembers Victor's name, embarrassedly thinking that he saved her after all. After some time, she asks Emma if there really is a dark crystal in her heart now. Emma replies that everything is true, adding that it was the only way to help her in this situation. Anna looks at her hand in surprise, saying that she used to often think about what superpowers she could have if she became a Superman. Emma replies that the strength of superhumans is divided into 9 levels, adding that a Superman from levels 1 to 3 is only a head stronger than normal, but starting from level 4 they have special superpowers, and the higher the level, the stronger the Superman. Anna shyly asks Emma about what is happening between her and Victor. Emma says that Anna would not think anything unnecessary, adding that Victor is their close friend, and she is ready to do whatever it takes for him. Anna is impressed by these words, when suddenly the door to their apartment opens with a creak. Victor, looking around, enters the apartment, closing the door behind him. Emma tells Victor that he came just in time, adding that she was already starting to worry. Anna looks at the main character, shyly looking away to the side. Victor hands her a heavy bag, saying that this is a gift for her. Opening the bag, she discovers that it is filled to the brim with gold. Anna asks Victor why he gives her such an impressive amount. Victor says that these are Seth's gold coins, which can be exchanged at any bank in the world, after which he advises her to leave as far as possible, since in 13 days, everything here will be transformed beyond recognition. He takes out a bottle of alcohol and asks Anna to take care of herself, adding that the world of superhumans is an extremely dangerous place. Anna asks him about what will happen in 13 days and whether it has anything to do with his little sister. Emma tells Victor that it is better for Anna to stay with them, since Morgana is probably still alive, and it will not be safe for her to be outside, adding that Anna has not yet mastered her abilities and will become an easy prey for hunters. She turns to Anna, saying that she works in a hospital and often attends hours-long operations, adding that she does not have time to look after Susie. She notes that if Victor and Anna will stay to look after her daughter, then she will definitely be calm. Victor tells Anna that in this case she can stay here, since it will definitely be safe here. Anna agrees, thinking that he probably himself wants her to stay. Victor is lost in his thoughts, and there is a pause in the apartment for a short time. Suddenly, something disturbs the main character, and he begins to peer out of the window. A few hundred meters from their apartment, there is an owl watching. A second later, a bullet breaks through the glass of the apartment, hitting Victor directly in the chest. All his companions freeze in surprise, looking at Victor. A hail of bullets begin to fly towards Victor, breaking all the fragile objects in the apartment. Emma rushes to the aid of her comrades, using her protective superpower to protect Anna and Susie. She covers everyone in the apartment with a bulletproof shield, telling them to urgently take refuge in a safe place. Victor heals his wounds with the help of regeneration, and tells everyone to stay here and not go anywhere. With these words, he rushes to the window, preparing for a long jump. He breaks out the window with his body, going in the direction where the sounds of gunshots were coming from. The shooter, who recently fired at Victor's apartment, observes the rapidly approaching Victor through his sights. The sniper turns out to be a young girl who miraculously manages to dodge the protagonist's lightning attack. She leaps, dodging Victor's next series of attacks. Victor recognizes the killer, realizing that his friend named Ashley was sent after him. Ashley quickly aims her rifle at Victor and fires another quick shot. Victor easily deflects Ashley's bullets, wondering where he might be hiding. Meanwhile, Ashley moves around, shooting while dashing, but Victor easily repels all of his attacks. Suddenly, a second assassin appears behind him and is about to deal him a series of fatal blows. Sister Ashley unsheathes her sword, preparing to kill Victor on the spot. She makes a lightning-fast stroke, but Victor jumps into the air, trying to dodge. He only partially succeeds, and he rushes at Ashley, kicking her. However, Shelley uses teleportation to regroup and switch places with her sister, who again attacks Victor. The 3 heroes land on the ground, and the sisters tell Victor that the corporation has given them an order to eliminate him. Victor looks at the sisters, asking them if they found him with the help of this owl, adding that he will soon fry it. Ashley's younger sister named Sophia asks Victor not to be mad at them since they accidentally found him, while Ashley orders him not to move, saying that she will quickly end his suffering with one shot between the eyes. Victor tells Ashley that she herself has never died, so she can't say that he won't feel anything. He mentally notes that he knew that such a day would come one day, but he could not even imagine that it would come so soon. The sisters rush to attack, and Ashley tells Sophia that she will attack him at medium range, warning that Victor may use his scorching radiance. With these words, the sisters separate, scattering along the edge of the forest and preparing for the attack. They simultaneously attack Victor, preventing him from effectively defending himself on both sides. Sophia gets closer to Victor and begins to attack him with her blade, but Victor manages to block her onslaught. Ashley tells Sophia to stop playing with him and attack him with her pulse blade. Sophia wearily calls to her owl, asking it to throw her pulse blade, adding that now killing Victor will not be difficult. She draws her blade and asks Victor for forgiveness, saying that she cannot go against the orders of the corporation. She rushes into the attack, delivering sweeping blows, cutting down all the trees in her path. Victor notes that her pulse blade is incredibly fast and dangerous, noting that if he doesn't come up with something, he will be chopped into mince. He notices the cut tree and grabs it with his hand to use it for protection. Victor rushes forward at Sophia, trying to hit her with a huge tree. However, Sophia easily cuts the tree into small chips using her pulse blade. She is surprised when Victor disappears, but a split second later, he appears behind her and tells her that to win, she needs to use her brains and not rely only on speed. Sophia is shocked by Victor's lightning-fast reflexes and looks at him in surprise. The main character decides that now is the best moment to attack and tries to deliver a powerful blow with his fist. Ashley notices this and comes to her sister's aid, firing several quick shots into Victor's exposed side. The bullets successfully overtake the main character, inflicting deep wounds on him. He clenches his teeth, shouting obscenities at his old friend. After that, he demonstratively misses the unprotected Sophia, freezing in place. Sophia is surprised that there is not a scratch left on her and turns to Victor. She looks at his hand and wonders where the flame went, noting that if Victor used the scorching radiance, then even if he missed, there would be legs and horns left of it. She then swings her katana, telling Victor that if they disobey the order, then it will all be over for them. However, she decides to spare Victor and stops the sword a few centimeters from his neck. She looks at him hesitantly, realizing that he has done a lot for them in the past, and it would be inhumane to take his life in such a way. Ashley yells at Sophia rudely and asks her what the hell she's doing. She says that she should not hesitate and should deal with Victor as soon as possible. Sophia hesitates from side to side, saying that her morning oatmeal was spoiled and she has a stomachache. Ashley angrily orders Sophia to step aside, saying that if they continue this battle, they will only delay the inevitable. Victor understands what Ashley means and fearfully thinks that she will now use pulse bullets. With these words, Ashley lifts her cloak and reaches for 2 pistols located on a special mount. Without letting Victor finish, she fires 2 quick shots, aiming at the main character. It twists the trajectory of the bullets, making them incredibly deadly and making it impossible for Victor to dodge. Victor realizes that if he does not block this attack, he will be finished. The bullets fall directly into Victor's hands, and one of them is completely cut off by incredible lethal force, while Victor himself crashes into a tree. From unbearable pain, Victor coughs up blood, quickly rolling on the ground so as not to receive several more bullets. At the same moment, Ashley jumps onto a tree to attack the main character from an unexpected direction. She rushes down, firing several quick shots in his direction again. Ashley turns into a real hurricane, from which shots are fired at a frantic pace towards Victor. Emma watches what is happening, saying that Victor is in a difficult battle. She puts her hand on Anna's shoulder, saying that she will go to help him, and asks her to look after Susie and not leave the apartment. Anna looks at Emma in fear, but gathers her strength and tells her that she can rely on her. During this time, Victor is seriously injured as Ashley continues to mercilessly shoot him with her pistols. He lies on the ground, trying to heal his wounds with the help of fire regeneration, and also come up with a strategy for the battle. Victor notes that Ashley can increase the momentum of flying bullets, and one of her shots is equal in strength to a shot from a tank. Ashley decides it's time to finish off Victor and rushes forward. At this moment, Victor hides behind a tree, intending to use it for an attack maneuver. With a sharp movement of his hand, he cuts the tree in half. Grabbing the huge barrel, he takes aim and throws it towards Ashley. Ashley notices a tree flying towards her and jumps into the air, surprised that Victor still has the strength to resist. She flies over a flying tree, realizing that she is out of ammunition and decides to reload. With incredible elegance and grace, Ashley reloads her pulse revolvers and prepares for the next round of battle. At this moment, Victor decides to repeat his feint and swings properly to strike. Concentrating all the power in his hand, he hits the ground with all his might. At the same second, a huge earthen explosion appears next to Ashley, and she is distracted by it. Victor decides that now it's his turn, and appears behind her to disarm her. However, this ploy doesn't work, and Ashley fires a quick shot behind her back. Victor flies back from incredible momentum and falls to the ground. Ashley looks at the main character with a cool gaze, and asks him whether he really thought that he could repeat the same technique twice. Victor irritably notices that his left arm has just healed, but he has already received a deep wound in his stomach. Ashley tells Victor that he won't be able to dodge anymore, and today is his last day in the world of the living. She quickly takes aim and fires 2 shots to finish off her former friend. However, Emma comes to the rescue, covering Victor with her shield. A powerful explosion is heard and huge clouds of smoke rise above the park. Anna and Susie silently watch what is happening, trying to understand what is happening. Susie quietly says that it should be fun there and invites Anna to follow her. Anna says that Emma told Susie to stay here, to which she replies that she can see how Anna is worried about Victor. Anna is embarrassed and says that this is not true at all, adding that Susie must be worried about her mother. Emma looks at her rivals and activates additional powers of her power. She turns her other hand into a blade, saying that her abilities are needed to save lives, but she can also kill with them. Meanwhile, Susie decides not to stand on ceremony with Anna and uses her power on the brooding girl. Anna comes to her senses and hysterically asks Susie what she did to her and why she is so small now. However, Susie decides that the time for talking has passed and gently takes Anna by the waist. After that, she jumps down, holding the frightened girl in her hand. Meanwhile, Emma continues to protect Victor from Ashley's pulse bullets. She turns to the main character and asks him if everything is okay with him. Ashley looks at Emma in surprise, wondering how her shield was able to withstand her pulse bullets. Suddenly, Sophia appears behind Emma and Victor and begins to run towards them.